Hey there, King of Kings family. We're coming at you with another episode of the Beyond Sunday Multisite podcast, where we're talking about kind of our vision for King of Kings as we have a goal of adding 20 campuses, or excuse me, 10 campuses over the next 20 years. Whoa, I'm totally changing our plan here. 10 campuses over the next 20 years, starting with a campus in Northwest Omaha in 2023. I think I just gave Julie a heart attack, and I apologize for that. I'm Dan Hoppin. I'm the director of small groups here at King of Kings, and today we are going to focus on exactly what a Sunday morning is going to look like at King of Kings' future campuses. And because our next campus to open is that Northwest Omaha campus, that's kind of what we're going to focus on today. First, let me introduce who I've got with me here. I've got Julie Easley, who is our executive director, and she's kind of been the spearhead behind the multi-site efforts, and Zach Zender, who's one of our awesome teaching pastors here. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for calling me awesome. I really appreciate that. Julie, how do you feel about upping our game just now from really 10 to 20
sounded
campuses?
pretty alarming, frankly.
It sounded wrong coming out of my mouth, and then I was
sounded wrong to me, too.
Oh, no, I've said something terrible.
Hey, it's God-sized, you know?
For
That's
sure.
what we talk about.
Indeed.
Each campus is going to have its own campus director, but that person won't be responsible for giving the weekly message. Instead, we're going to have a message that's shown from iStreet on video. Both of you, what are the benefits of taking that approach versus having separate messages at each campus?
Yeah, so I think one thing that's really going to help is we're praying for a consistent vision of who God has called King of Kings to be. Across campuses, our vision is going to be the same. We feel like God has the same call on King of Kings no matter where we're located. So one way of keeping us together is through a shared message series. So the messages that you're going to be hearing at iStreet are the messages that you're going to be hearing at Northwest and at our other upcoming multi-site campuses. We have a great teaching team that every campus is going to be able to benefit from. They'll be hearing from the same people, continuity there. And then I think, and maybe Zach can dig into this a little bit, this really helps us in that we are not needing to find a new pastor for every campus. I mean, that's kind of a huge challenge, right?
Yeah, it totally is. And especially if you look at our specific denomination, there are way more pastors going out and either entering retiring years or actually retiring than coming in. And so there is a shortage already, and it's only going to get exacerbated in the next 10, 20 years. And so really this, I think, is not only a win for us in our situation, but I think it's also a way for us to steward this unique denomination that has its blessings and also challenges. It's a way for us to honestly grow our church and grow the way that we're called to do, but also not go after a lot of the really young up-and-comers, perhaps, that can now be at other churches with their visions and things like that. And so I think that's definitely a huge win. And then too, to stewardship's a big word for me. And so I can't speak for every pastor, the exact amount of time they put into a sermon, but I can speak to me. And I know it's a minimum 15, probably closer to 25 hours each sermon that I give. And so if we were to take a different approach and let's say have 10 campuses in 20 years.
I'm going to speak this thing into existence now.
Then that's 10 people that need to each prep. Again, I don't know if it's the exact amount of time I would, but that's over 100 plus hours that would for sure, if not 200 or more, go into a sermon when we can just have one unified message, which I think is going to be really good. And then I was also part of a network that shared a lot of things, but allowed each pastor to preach their own. And there's some things I liked about that, but it got to be to the point where in that network we shared some things, but eventually over time it got to be harder to stay unified and together with brothers that I loved. And so it got to be a really sticky point when it's like we started this and we were the same and we said we were the same, but now our church sort of values this and your church sort of values this and your church sort of values this. And so there was never a clear understanding of what to do. But I've been a part of a network where we didn't have that and the one consistent message, and I've seen that not work, if I'm honest with you. And so I'm excited that we're going to dive in together because I think this will keep us unified in a really big way.
I couldn't agree more. I think you guys bring up some really good points. And when I first heard the idea that we weren't going to have live preaching and it was going to be, watching a video, I was kind of like, whoa, that's different. That's a little odd. But I've actually started to monitor my behavior in worship since that, and I find myself watching the screen most of the time anyway. Like, you can see the pastor's face better if he's using props, or if he's writing, you can see that better. You can see facial expression. I mean, I really don't think it's going to feel all that different anyway. I want to get into kind of the role of the campus director. What does that look like on a Sunday? What will he or she be responsible for?
Yeah, so our campus director is going to have the lead staff position at the campus. We're kind of calling he or she the face of the place. So that person will be that one identifiable person that everybody who's coming to the campus will know. It's kind of the shepherd of that congregation. And the campus director will be responsible for all ministry teams, all programming, and all volunteers at the campus. Not to say that they're going to be actually doing all of that work, but they're definitely overseeing it. So it's like their spot.
So on a Sunday, are they just kind of like doing the intro, or they talk?
Yeah,
okay.
They're definitely going to be up front. You're going to be seeing them a lot on stage, and then you're going to be seeing them out in the corridor, meeting and greeting. Yep.
Yeah, and I know we're really looking at what does a Sunday look like, and so that's a huge piece of it, what they're doing on a Sunday. But they're also, like, a lot of the things they're doing are not on a Sunday. It's Monday through Saturday, and so they're really doing a lot of the things during the week to get ready for the Sunday. I think sometimes we can focus so much on the Sunday experience that we forget, and it's the joke that every pastor hates. Oh, you only work one day a week. It's like, okay, whatever. I don't need to hear that again. I've heard it a million times. You weren't the first one to say it. And so really the campus director, like what I love about Sundays is it's a chance for all of us to come together and collectively worship God. For those of us who work in church, it's a chance for us to see a lot of what we've been working on in the week come together. And so they're going to have a huge role during the week just to get ready for that Sunday, to get the volunteer teams. Again, maybe not they're doing all this, but they're overseeing all this, getting the volunteer teams in place. And when we start with new campuses, there is such a volunteer culture that I will say percentage-wise is higher than an established church of the I Street size. So more people, getting more people plugged in, and if they come on a Sunday, helping them to take a next step and to get into a place where they're not just attending and giving, but they're serving and they're a part of that. And so that's a huge piece of building during the week just to even get to that Sunday.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I also think, there's that whole community outreach piece. So we're moving into a new neighborhood, and we want to reach out. We want to serve. We want to connect with leaders there, community leaders, people in the community, and just say, hey, how can we bless you? We're going to have lots of events and connection points for the community. So that's another thing our campus director is going to be working on.
Mm-hmm. Now, another critical component of just that Sunday experience is worship and having music. And while we are going to have the message being given via video, we are going to have live music at each campus. What is it about live music that really brings it to life, and what is the value of having that live too, as opposed to on video?
Yeah. So I don't know if you, like me, watched church during COVID on the screen, and when worship came up, it was like, ugh, am I going to
sing in your living room?
Sing in my living room, right? And really, we want worship to be much more of an interactive experience. Yes. You're not just taking something in. You're not just watching it happen, but you're participating, right? Worship is active, and live is just much better for that. I think anybody who's experienced, and really all props to everything our worship team did during COVID, because they are amazing, and the videos that they've done are incredible, and they are a blessing. But I think if that was your main way of worshiping, it would just be tough after a while. So that's what we're looking towards. We don't want you to watch worship. We want you to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. What about kids programming? Is that going to be available at each future campus?
Yes, we're going to have programming for both kids and students at all of our upcoming campuses. It may not look exactly like it does at I Street. I just want to get everybody kind of into that mindset of we are not replicating everything exactly, but we are definitely going to have ways for your kids to get involved, for your students to get involved, and to grow in their relationship with Jesus.
Well, and I think that's okay, Julie. Like, what happens on I Street doesn't have to be replicated at each campus for it to be successful. I think each campus, based off the area of town that it's in, based off the campus director, based off of the volunteer culture that you were talking about, Zach, they're all going to have, like I mentioned, that King of Kings DNA, but also their distinct personality. And I think that will affect the Sunday experience. And we don't necessarily know exactly in what ways. Like, some of it is just going to kind of be fleshed out over time.
Yeah, just sort of organic. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talk about these campuses are going to be siblings, not twins, not identical twins, right? Mm-hmm. There's no way to replicate everything exactly. The building will be different. The people will be different. The neighborhood will be different. This will all contribute to the uniqueness of each campus. The great thing is we have the same God, the same vision, the same mandate to go into all the world and make disciples. But every church is going to have a little bit of a different expression of that, just like we do as individuals. So that's the beauty of it. I'm excited to watch that develop.
But siblings who don't fight, right?
Exactly.
Siblings, yes.
Just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay.
And no sibling rivalries. It's all going to be the good stuff.
Well, and so what I love about like either planting a church or opening a campus is usually what ends up happening is there's so much life and vibrancy and newness in, like I said, the new campus, that sometimes the sending campus can feel like, what is going on? But in all the studies they do, they find that it actually comes back in droves to the sending campus as well. That all of the newness and vibrancy and things that we're learning, it's only going to be a help to I Street campus. And so here's what's cool is like we've got a really great church here with great people, a healthy staff culture, a great God-sized vision that Dan doubled in this podcast. So we've got all of that going for us. And so we're taking that and sending that out and seeing what God does. And here's what I know is going to happen. We're going to open it up and have our plans. And a lot of those plans are going to go. But then there's going to be new things that pop up that we don't have planned that we're going to see, wow, God is in that. And we're going to learn things at our Northwest Omaha campus that then we're going to take back to I Street. And so it's going to be, that's what's beautiful as we're siblings that don't fight and we talk to one another. We're going to be able to ping pong back and forth to each other and share best practices so that both campuses get stronger. And then you multiply that by 10 or 20, Dan, and we're going to be rocking and rolling for the Lord.
That's so true. That's a great point, and I can't wait to see how it plays out at the new 40 campuses of King of Kings that we're opening in the next 3 years.
Here we go, baby.
So, Julie and Zach, thank you so much for joining me today. And King of Kings family, let's keep living our faith lives beyond Sunday.